You may proceed, Counselor.
I pass the witness.
Any questions from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Can you please restate your name
John Henry Bridgman.
and your place of work?
Single violent criminal school on Vikram.
Tell me exactly where your store is.
It's right by the harbor. It looks out of the harbor.
Brewer,
So-
speak up, sir.
When you're on the harbor, how do you get home normally?
The horse-drawn carriage I mentioned earlier.
And on what side of the harbor is your house?
The far side,
And where is your store?
right on the harbor.
But on which side?
I don't understand your question.
How do you get across the harbor on a horse-drawn carriage from your store?
My horse-drawn carriage is kept away from my store, obviously, and I walk to it.
So if your horse-drawn carriage is away from your store, how do you get to the horse-drawn carriage?
By walking.
Were you swept up by this crowd of people?
I would not say I was swept up. I say I joined the crowd.
Why did you join the crowd?
There was a commotion and I felt I needed to know what was going on.
Can you please elaborate on what you saw when you were in the crowd?
The Indians, who I would say are the Sons of Liberty, were dumping tea across over the ships on the harbor.
Could it be said that they weren't actually the Sons of Liberty?
I suppose.
And if they aren't the Sons of Liberty, they could actually be Indians who were just throwing tea over?
Possibly.
To your knowledge, did the British ever persecute Indians as well?
I would say so, yes.
No further questions.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further redirect from the prosecution?
The state rests.
May this witness be excused from the courtroom, Counsel?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Next witness for the prosecution.
We call Martha Rosanna Adams.
Martha Rosanna Adams. Please step up and be sworn, Miss Adams. Speak up, okay?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Thank you, ma'am. You may be seated. Counsel, you may proceed when ready.
Can you please restate your name?
My name is Martha Rosanna Adams.
What is your occupation?
I'm a stay-at-home mom with my 2 children.
Do you have any association with our plaintiff?
Yes, we went to a banquet month or so ago.
Where were you on the night of December 16th, 1773?
I was near Griffin's Wharf, meeting up in Oakland.
Do you remember what time you arrived at the wharf?
After eating dinner with my family around 7.
Did you see anyone else when you arrived?
Yes, after talking with my old friend, there were a group of people dressed as if they're Indians.
Can you tell me more on what they looked like?
Honestly, the Indians looked like costumes. They looked like they were wearing costumes.
Can you describe what you saw them doing?
I saw them, they had dark and patchy skin. And I saw them dumping tea into the harbor.
Did you see any force being used against them?
Other than the tea being dumped, there was one Indian that got arrested.
May I approach the witness?
You may, Counsel. You have permission to approach this witness throughout the rest of your direct.
This is exhibit number 3. It is the township act document or copy of it.
May I see that document, bailiff? Thank you. And what's the relevance of this document, Counselor?
We were in our full, what's the word?
Okay, take your time.
We were, can't think of the word. We were not in the wrong for charging for tea. So I really can't see a reason why these Indians, which I think are the Sons of Liberty, would protest against us in such a way when we have full right to do so.
And could you explain briefly what the law is that's contained in this act for the court?
Because of the French and Indian War, we protected the colonies and we expected a tax back. So just as a way to pay for us protecting them. And instead, what they do is they dump our tea and act as if we are the criminals for doing something that is totally in our right to do.
Thank you, Counselor. State's Exhibit 3 will be admitted. You may proceed with any questioning. Yes, ma'am.
You know what this is?
Yes, this is a question.
Is it relevant to your life? Has it changed your life in any way?
Although it has, very nice nurses, I've had no intention of destroying it.
What is your opinion, I guess, on what happened and what you saw?
I was just surprised by what happened. Since I couldn't see them very clearly, I didn't really, I don't really have an opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Pass the witness.
Any questions from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
I have one question for this witness. Ma'am, I believe counsel for the prosecution asked you if you support this act or not. Is that correct? And is this something that you do support, or is this something that you feel is an unjust mandate on your business?
Honestly, with my, I don't have a business, I just stay at home.
Yes, ma'am.
I've never really had any care for it.
So you wouldn't consider yourself a member of the Sons of Liberty yourself? Thank you. May this witness be excused from the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Does the prosecution have any further witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. The state calls Mary Ann Martin.
Can you say that one more time, Counselor? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The state calls Mary Ann Martin.
You may come up to be sworn.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated, ma'am. Remember to speak up so we can all hear you. Counselor, you may proceed.
Can you restate your name?
My name is Mary Ann.
What is your occupation?
I work as a seamstress for my mother's business.
Do you know the plaintiff?
No, I've never met the plaintiff before.
Where were you on the night of December 16th, 1773?
I was shopping with my mother near the wharf.
Can you recall what time you arrived at the wharf?
I arrived at the wharf around 20 minutes to 8.
Did you see a crowd surrounding the three ships?
Yes, I saw a small crowd gathering around the ship.
Can you describe what was happening on the ships?
I saw many people dressed as Indians throwing what looked like boxes of tea overboard.
May I approach the witness?
You may, Counselor. You have permission to approach throughout your direct. May I see that document from the bailiff? And what does this document contain, Counselor?
That document is a letter from a Sons of Liberty member requesting costumes.
And how do we know this is a Sons of Liberty member, Counselor?
We have seen them with the Sons of Liberty and
And is this person in this letter Is this individual here today to testify as a witness? Mr. Patrick Henry?
Not that I know of, sir.
And the letter is directed to Ms. Martin, who's here testifying today. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll allow it, Counselor. State's Exhibit 4 is admitted. You may proceed.
You know what this is?
This was a letter. My mother.
What is it? What is the letter asking?
I have come to need your assistance. A few friends and I require costumes for a party in a month or so, and it would be of great appreciation if you could supply them. I will need many simple costumes. All we need is squares of cloth and ties to secure them. We also request one Sunday to begin to wear them. It will be paid in full once delivered. We ask that you ship it to the Royal Mines Store in Liverpool. It is imperative that you respond.
Thank you, Counselor.
Attest to witness.
Any questions from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed. You may use State's Exhibit 4 as well if you need, Counselor.
Thank you. Letter addressed to?
It is addressed to my mother.
And have you ever met Patrick Henry?
No, I don't believe so.
Through this letter, it tells us about a party. In your opinion, could it be said that these costumes are actually for a party?
I haven't thought about that.
So if these costumes are for a party, could it also be said that this letter wouldn't be relevant?
Answer the question if you know it, Ms. Martin.
Do you by chance know who these few friends are that it addresses in the letter?
No, I don't know.
And if this letter is addressed to your mother and not to you, in what circumstance could these costumes be for a party that she was knowledgeable of?
She told me that she had no knowledge of the party.
No further questions.
Counselor, unless you have some additional questioning for this witness, I am going to shift gears from my previous ruling and rule this letter inadmissible as it's addressed to this witness's mother and she has no personal knowledge as to its contents. Does counselor have any further questions for this witness?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused from the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Next witness, counselor.
We have no further witnesses.
Does the state rest at this time?
Yes, sir. The state rests.
Thank you, sir. Defense, you may call your first witness.
Your Honor, we call John Ross Robertson II.
John Ross Robertson II. Mr. Robertson, you may step up to the witness stand. Please stand and be sworn by the bailiff, and then be seated and speak into the microphone, sir.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you don't mind adjusting that microphone, sir, so it's pointed towards your mouth. Please speak into the microphone if possible. Counselor, you may proceed when ready.
No, I can't. I'm not prepared. Now, sir, what is your name?
John Ross Robertson II.
Now, what is your occupation?
I'm a local cabinet maker.
Where were you on the night of December
I was
6th?
waiting for delivery to my shop.
What were you waiting for?
The delivery to my shop.
Now, what did you see that night?
I saw a guy standing there with some cake.
Did he see anything else?
He eventually got jacked by some Indians.
Now, where did the Indians go?
I'm not sure.
Now, could you see any of the Indians?
Yes, it looks like they were possibly beating him and hitting him.
Now, is there any chance that the Indians were the Sons of Liberty or they were wearing disguises?
No.
Would you say that Mr. Williams is innocent in this matter?
I'm gonna object to that question, Counselor. That would call for speculation.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor. Any questions for the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
So you said you were a cabinet maker for your shop. What time does your shop close?
Closes around 9, 8. I was waiting until like 10 for the delivery.
So you were waiting for a late delivery, okay.
These are-
Ma'am? No, my paper.
Take your time, Counselor. There's no rush.
Second. So you saw a man with cake in his hands that was kidnapped. Were you able to see this man? Or was it, you
I
were
didn't
not
see
able
his
to see?
face. I did not see his face. But I saw him in the cake and checked him.
So how could you say it was him specifically?
I didn't see it was a
And for the Sons of Liberty Indians, how could you say that they're not the Sons of Liberty? Do you have any proof of that?
no, not sure.
No further questions for this
Thank you,
witness?
Counselor. Any redirect from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
May this witness be excused from the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down, sir. Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, sir.
We bring Florence Byers.
Florence Byers. Byers. Ms. Byers, please step up and be sworn. Take a seat. Remember to speak directly into the microphone, please.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear the evidence you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Can you please restate your name?
My name is Florence Byers.
And where were you on the night of the?
I was walking home, I was at a quilting bee with my friends, before I was walking home.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you say that again?
I was at a quilting bee before I was walking home.
So you weren't. When did you see the actual tea party?
Somewhere between 7 or 8.
And what did you see?
Well, I saw Indians like wearing face paint, like running towards the ship, and like maybe like 100. It was a lot.
Can you just describe any of them just in a broad?
Well, they were wearing like face paint. I couldn't really see them all that well because it was like dark outside. And it was snowing, I think. And they were wearing like, I'm not entirely sure to describe it, but yeah, they were wearing like clothes.
And out of any of these Indians, could you recognize any of them?
No, I could not.
Okay. When you were at the quilting bee, who's there with you?
Well, it was just a close group of friends and their partners.
Forgot to ask you your occupation.
I'm a blacksmith.
And how do you know the defendant?
We work at the same business.
What is this business? Take your time.
You work at the same blacksmith shop, Ms. Byers, is that correct?
Yes.
And you can't, if you can't recall the name right now, that's okay, we can proceed.
Do you know where the Indians came from when you saw them running?
From the forest, I think.
You know why they were coming towards the harbor?
I'm not entirely sure. I think they were trying to raid the ship or something.
Do you know what happened after they dumped the tea?
Well, I was terrified when it happened, so I ran away back to my house.
And what time of day was it again?
Between 7 and 8.
Your Honor, I pass the witness.
Cross counselor,
Yes, Your Honor.
you may proceed when ready.
Gonna take this. So you were at a quilting bee when you were walking home, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what time was it that you said?
Between 7 and 8.
And you saw people that you described as wearing face paint, which means that there is a very likely chance that they were not actually Indian.
Your Honor, objection for speculation.
Objection sustained. You don't have to answer that. Move on to the next question and rephrase, counselor.
Okay, so you described them as wearing face paint, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In your opinion, is there a small chance that they were not Indians?
It is possible, but I think it is unlikely.
Let's see. So the face paint, all right. So you saw people wearing face paint that you couldn't see their faces coming out of the forest. And so you felt scared and ran home.
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't see any, did you see them doing anything other than getting on the ship?
I think I was there, like, when they started dumping in the tea, I ran away.
So you saw them, okay. Did you see any force or did you leave before you could see anything else happen?
I left.
Okay. No further questions for this witness.
I have one question for this witness. Ms. Byers, you said that what you described as Indians came out of the forest. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh. I'm not aware of any forests in the Boston area. Do you know what particular forest this was that they came from?
No. That wasn't the best way to describe it. I've never seen one. It's more like usually not.
Okay. So if you had to change your testimony, you'd say they came out of maybe from behind some buildings. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Byers. Any further questions from the defense?
Yes, we have one. When did you say you got there?
Between 7 and 8.
Or I mean, what did you see when you arrived? Did you see them running or did you see them dumping tea?
Running and dumping the tea.
So you stood there for long enough to see them running from behind buildings across the way into the harbor. You saw the crowd join together and then you ran.
I was in shock. I wasn't entirely sure what was going on.
Anything else? No further questions.
Thank you. Any further redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
How did you feel when you saw these people destroying someone's property? I'm gonna ask the same question I asked earlier, but had the Indians ever faced persecution from the British?
I'd say so.
So when these Indians came out from behind this cluster of buildings, how many of them did you see?
I'd say about maybe 100.
How much tea did you see them dump before you ran off?
I think I ran off after like the first couple boxes.
Did you see anything the next day?
I didn't return to the ward.
Yes.
No, I didn't return to the ward. I didn't want that to happen.
No further questions?
May this witness be excused from the courtroom, counselor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Byers. You may step down. Next witness, defense?
Your Honor, we bring Franklin Williams.
Franklin Williams, the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, please step up and be sworn. Remember to speak into the microphone. If you have to bend it down a little bit to speak into it, please feel free to do so.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that evidence you give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Counselor, you may proceed when ready.
So, Mr. Williams. Where were you on the night of December 16th?
I was visiting a local shop by the harbor, getting tea and cake.
And so now, what did you all see?
I saw several Indians, which I got swept up in.
Now, can you tell me what they did exactly once they swept you up?
They pushed me onto the boat.
And
They
what
were leaving me lying down.
did the Indians do?
They were picking up crates, and at that point I blacked out.
Could you see any of them exactly?
No.
Okay. Are you aware that Indians are persecuted by the British?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I get an exhibit?
Yes, you may. Please hand it to the bailiff and I'll review it. Thank you, ma'am. And what is this, counselor?
That is a receipt saying that my client went to go get tea and cake from the Single Violet General Store.
And does this receipt have a date and time on it?
No, Your Honor. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. May I
Can
review
you,
it?
may you review it, counselor, and then think about that?
Yes, sir. It says December 16th, 1773.
And does it have any other identifying characteristics tied to your client, Mr. Franklin Williams, on here?
Yes, sir. On the bottom here, it says Franklin Williams, and it was from John Bridgman.
And is there an amount?
Yes, sir. $5, 5 pounds.
And is there a reason or is there a given item that the 5 pounds was tendered for?
Yes, sir. Tea and cake.
Thank you, sir. Are you looking to admit this exhibit?
Yes, sir.
Defense Exhibit 1 will be admitted. You may proceed.
That's it, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Any questions from the prosecution?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed when ready.
So you were shopping at the store of John Henry Bridgman when you were kidnapped by Indians, thrown onto a boat, and then passed out.
Yes, that is correct.
When were you at the shop? Like, do you remember a time?
No, I didn't have my watch on me at the time. I didn't see it.
The court will take judicial notice of the fact that this receipt does not contain a specific time.
Let's see. Did you know of any time, like when did you leave your house to go to the wharf?
I would say about 7:15 or so.
So how long would you say it takes to get from your house to this wharf or shop?
About 20 minutes.
Well, the shop closes at 7:30. So how would you go to a shop that was closed and buy cake and tea?
I know the owner personally. He's keeping the shop open for me. So I could run and grab the goods that I needed.
Do you have any evidence that's true?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you had cake and tea, you were seen with cake and tea potentially, and you were beaten. Do you have any medical records or proof that you were beaten and blacked out?
No, I do not.
Do you know if anyone came to help you after you were blacked out? Do you remember what you saw when you woke up?
No. As soon as I got up, I ran away.
Okay, so you were described as a scapegoat in the opening statement. Can you say why that is?
People didn't know that I was an Indian dumping tea, even though I just got swept up on the boat.
But you said you were lying down. They made you lie down. How would you be a part of it if you were huddled down or being forced huddled down and then blacked out? Also potentially not in the costumes that they were wearing.
Because it saw that I was running onto the boat and then they pushed me down.
Did they not see the Indians pushing you onto the boat or forcing you onto the boat?
Apparently they did not.
Okay, so they somehow saw you but did not see the Indians. Do you have any more questions? Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor. Any redirect from the defense?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to ask a few questions.
You may proceed when ready.
Can you describe how you were swept up in this group of Indians?
I was walking home and I saw several Indians approaching me and they almost pushed me as I was walking and onto the boat. Therefore, I was almost running into the boat. Trying to keep up with the crowd.
So could it be said that they grabbed you and forced your body on?
Yes, they did.
Were these people bigger than you in stature?
Yes, a lot bigger.
Can you give me any sort of defining characteristics of them? What they were wearing, how tall they were?
They were wearing feathers and face paint and that's all I saw.
How'd you feel during this?
I was therefore I blacked out. That's the issue.
So when you blacked out or fainted, could it be said that you were pushed or you were just terrified?
I was very terrified and I think I was pretty well.
When you woke up, what do you remember this
The ship, I was getting up off the ship and that's all I remember.
What time of day was it when you woke up?
It was almost morning, very break of day.
So it was around dawn.
Yes.
Do you know when the authorities came to the ship afterward?
No, I do not.
When you woke up, was there still tea on the ship?
No.
And as you were running, did you find anything broken or maybe a gate that was unlatched?
I saw broken crates.
No further questions, John.
Before I ask the prosecution if there's any recross, I had one question because I couldn't remember the testimony. When John Bridgman was testifying, did he or did you ask him any questions related to whether he sold tea or cake to Franklin Williams?
We have the question of the affiliation with our plaintiff, which is that he gets tea imported, but I don't have anything about cakes.
Thank you, Counselor. Any recross for this
Yes.
witness?
So, once again, face paint was mentioned. That's something. You were seen on the ship. I don't know if I heard correctly, but I think I heard her say that they might have been bigger in stature, the men who carried you off.
Yes, that's correct.
So, wouldn't they be blocking you then, so people wouldn't be able to see you on there? They would just be blocking you and then push you down?
Your Honor, objection for speculation. He would have been blacked out by then.
He
If you were-
said he blacked out after they pushed him downward.
But by that time, he would have been pushed down, as you just stated, because they were blocking him.
I'm asking if when he was pushed onto the ship, like if when he was being pushed onto the ship, would they have just covered him, pushed him on, and then pushed him down and he blacks out?
If you remember, sir, you can answer.
I think they would have been covering me up.
Okay. So you were awake at dawn and you saw broken crates and no teeth. So, let's see. Did you see any authorities there?
Not yet, as far as I know.
Did you run away right after and not see anything?
Yes, I was very scared. I didn't even know how I got there at that point.
Okay, so you didn't see anyone arrested. Okay. And once again, you said they were wearing face paint and costume
Yes,
with feathers?
yes.
Okay, face paint. Anything else? Okay, we don't have any more questions.
I just have one more question before I open it up for redirect for the defense. Mr. Williams, I can't recall if you were asked whether or not you yourself were wearing face paint or wearing an Indian costume? Or were you in fact wearing a costume that evening?
No, I was not.
Or did you in fact have any face paint that evening?
No, I was not.
And was there anybody who was here to testify today who can corroborate that?
I would think he would be able to.
When you say he, let the record reflect that you're pointing to the witness, Jonathan Bridgman, is that correct?
No, I'm referring to the shop owner.
That is,
Oh, yes, sorry, my bad.
That's okay. There's a lot of names here, sir. It's okay if you get a little mixed up. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Any redirect, counsel?
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
The prospect of face paint keeps coming up for some apparent reason. Could it be said that now, as two witnesses have stated that there are face paints, including yourself, can you just reiterate that they were in fact wearing face paint?
Yes, they were in face paint.
No further questions.
Thank you, counselor. Any recross?
Yes.
I have one. What, do you remember the color of this face paint?
Brown with a hint of red. Some red and some brown.
I don't know how to phrase this in a way that wouldn't get objected, but is there a chance, why would Indians need to wear dark face paint if they already have dark faces?
Very much want to object.
I don't think that's relevant.
Yeah, objection, relevance.
It is relevant because he mentions face paint.
Indeed, he does mention face paint, but just because you have dark skin does not mean a reddish tone will blend in.
I'm going to sustain the objection only to the phrasing. I see where you're going with it, counselor, and I think that's a relevant point. Just try to rephrase, okay?
Okay, I don't know how to phrase it, but I'll try. Let's see. In your opinion, is there a chance that those wearing face paint were actually Sons of Liberty members because they were hiding their identity?
I think not. I think face paint is almost cultural to the Indians.
Was the face paint around their face and their bodies, or was it kind of red face paint that they had put on their face? Was it all over their bodies?
It was all over their bodies.
So their skin looked fully different.
I wouldn't say different, I would say markings.
So was it like plastered all over, or was it simply just like
a few lines of something.
Just a few lines and dots, I think some symbols to their culture.
Could you describe any of these symbols that you apparently saw?
No, like I said, I was so nervous.
Would you say that this was actually patchy skin from patchy face paint? Because maybe they were sweating it off from hard work
I don't think
of
so.
pushing off crates? And you once again said that, was it dark face paint, light face paint? What was the color?
Like I said, red and brown.
Red and brown. So was it brown, then on top of red?
No, it was like dots of red and dots of brown.
Okay, so did you see their skin under those dots? Was it light skin under those dots?
No, it was dark skin under the dots.
So is there a chance that those brown spots and the dark skin were face paint that they put red over?
I don't think so. I don't know how they would get that much face paint and put it on.
But if they were able to get that much face paint, could you say that it's potentially a Sons of Liberty member?
It's entirely possible, but I do not think so at all. These look like Indians.
How do you know that they look like Indians other than the face paint? Because you said you were in shock and you couldn't see much.
I saw the feathers of their face paint. And
So your only association with Indians is face paint that is patchy and a feather.
I never said it was crafty.
Let the council finish your question.
It was face paint all over their bodies, including their faces,
Yes,
and a singular feather.
yes.
Anything else?
Yes.
I can, what was it?
I would ask how on the ship exactly.
Okay,
This is gonna go on for hours.
it is. We need you to.
We have time, Counselor, it's okay.
Because you just, the question is based on the fact that in your testimony, you stated the different ways of what you got onto the ship. You said sometimes you were running, sometimes you were walking, sometimes you were just fully being pushed. We don't think it's that much to get onto a ship.
Well, I was walking home and I started running because I saw the Indians. And they swept me up, therefore they practically run onto the ship with them.
So they picked you up or they just pushed you onto the ship?
They pushed me while I was running.
Do you have any like bruising or anything any proof that they did actually push you onto the ship and hurt you to a point where you would panic and black out?
No, I did not.
Further question.
No further questions.
Any redirect, counsel?
Oh my gosh.
You're asking good questions. You put us on the opposite side, so you should have expected this.
Yeah, time, counsel. It's okay.
So in terms of Indian culture, have you ever before seen these same patterns that are on their bodies before on Indians that you can remarkably describe as Indians?
Yes, I do. I do not know what tribe though.
Okay. The phrase patchy is coming up a lot, and I would like to ask about that. So, was their skin in fact patchy?
Can you please rephrase that in a different manner?
Yes, I can. So if their skin was had a patchiness to it, could it be said that it was not in fact face paint, but just their skin?
It could be.
And can you please reiterate what their skin color was?
A darker skin color.
Could you say that it was a brown, a tan, a specific color?
I would say a tan brown.
And you said that it was brown and red face paint. Was this brown face paint more of a black brown or was it more of a tan brown?
I think it's more of a darker brown.
And can you describe the color of red? Was it red orange? Was it
Like a dark rose red.
like that red? So once again, this question. To your knowledge, are these a cultural sign of Indians?
Yes, it is.
No further questions.
Any further recross, council?
Yes, we have questions.
Oh my goodness.
We gotta keep it going.
So you said it was,
Keep it brief, council, please.
so you said it was like blackish brown face paint is what I'm getting.
Just like I said,
So there's a very likely, in your opinion, is there a chance that it was in fact face paint and not actually someone's skin tone because it looks artificial, like black, brown face paint?
Council, I believe he's already answered that, yes.
answered that 10 times.
I believe he said.
Can
Court
I,
take judicial notice of the fact that this witness has previously testified that he cannot be 100% certain whether it was face paint or whether it was actually the skin of a Native American person.
do you have any more things?
Ask him if he has seen Indians before to know that this is part of their.
Have you, what have you seen of Indians to know that this is part of their culture? The feather in the hair, whatever clothes they were wearing, the marks that you said were on their skin. How do you know that that is of any sort of tribe?
I've seen them running outside of town. Not at that night, but before I see them. I'm a local Boston.
The court will take judicial notice of the fact that this witness can recognize characteristics that are specific to Native Americans, but he does not have the expertise to identify particular tribes.
So you said they were outside of town? You've
Not at
seen
that
them
night,
outside?
but I've seen them outside of town, yes.
Are there Indians around Boston anywhere? I don't know, but are there
Yes.
tribes? We done? Okay, we're done. No further questions.
Thank you, Counselor.
Finally.
Correct.
No,
Okay, we're done.
Please be excused from the courtroom.
yes, Your Honor.
You
Please.
may return to your seat.
This
Thank you,
skirt
Mr.
is
Williams.
not giving me a
It's
good time.
it really is.
Further witnesses from the
Sorry, that
defense.
took so long. It's understandable.
Any further witnesses from the defense?
Yes, sir. We bring Rosalind M. Woodsman.
Rosalind Woodsman,
Yes, sir.
What's her name?
please come up to be sworn.
Raise your right hand. You swear that the evidence you gave is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Ms. Woodsman, you may be seated. Please remember to speak up into the microphone. Counsel, you may proceed when ready.
So, Miss Woodsman, where were you on the night of December 16th?
I was wearing clothes that I need to.
Do you remember exactly who you were delivering it to?
No, I didn't.
Now, what is your occupation?
I'm a local.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any relation to my defendant?
Yes, he's
Can she speak closer to the mic? Because we can't hear her very well.
Yes, Counselor. We'd ask you, Ms. Woodsman, if you could speak up a little bit and try to speak more directly to the microphone, please. Thank you, ma'am.
Did you see anybody on the harbor at night?
yes, I saw about 60 Indians. Attempting to use information.
Could you see my client, Mr. Woods? Mr.
Excuse us. Sorry.
Counselor, please. Order at the lawyer's table, please.
Excuse us.
Counselor, you may proceed.
I believe I saw a white figure before it looked like it was pushed onto.
While he was on the ship, could you see anything?
Not really. All I could see was that the Indians were just kind of pushing him around and stuff.
Could you tell what the Indians were doing?
Not really.
Could you tell what the Indians looked like?
Yes, they were a sort of tan color with what it looked like paint on them.
That's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor. Any cross?
You want me to do it?
I can do it.
I have notes if you want to go through them.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed when ready, Counselor. Take your time. We're not in a hurry.
What color would you say the space was?
Sort of darkish red, dark.
So how well could you see the defendant?
Not very good as it was snowing and it was dark.
So how do you know that it was him?
I never saw that.
Do you know of him?
Not personally, no, but he has been to my shop a few times.
What were you doing exactly when you walked by and saw this happening?
I was bringing the rest of my shipment to the.
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Can I step in for questions?
Yes,
Okay. What time were you at the harbor? So you were making a delivery at 11 at night or in the at night? Okay. So how did you get to is your shop near the harbor?
Yes, it's like 2 blocks around.
Okay, so you're walking to the harbor. Did you see, what did you see once you got to the harbor?
Like I said, I saw about 60 or so Indians on the boat, as well as they
Remember to speak up, Ms. Wood.
So, how would you be able to know it was the defendant? Is there any proof?
No, I don't have it.
Okay. And once again, you said paint they were wearing? Okay.
Yes or no answers, please, Ms. Woodsman.
Okay. So there was about, you said 60, but they said 100. I'm gonna say 60 to 100. Okay, what did you see them doing, or did you not see them doing that?
When I got there, I saw them dumping meat.
When did you get there?
Maybe 11:20. I didn't have my.
I thought Florence saw them at 7 or 8 p.m., not 11. Because I feel like by 11 they probably.
That was around the time that I closed my shop and headed to the water.
But you said you got there at 11.
Around the place. I left my shop at 11 and got there around the place.
So there's a high chance that you wouldn't have actually seen them doing much. Because Florence said that she saw them throwing off crates at 7 or 8, right? Okay, so. Okay, so. I don't know. Let's see. Who are you delivering it to? Okay. So you saw potentially the defendant being pushed on. Did you see anything of the Indians, or was it too dark for you to describe anything about them?
The only thing I really saw about them was that they were just a thin color.
Okay. Can you describe that, or was it too hard to see?
It was kind of too hard to see. It would be I don't know how to describe it. No, I'm sorry.
Counsel, the record will reflect that this witness previously described these individuals presumed to be Native Americans as having face paint or having their bodies having paint applied to them.
Was it too hard to see because it was dark, or was it too hard to see because their skin kind of, I guess, blended in some sort of way?
it was too dark to see.
Okay.
Ask her about what costumes she saw.
Did you see what they were wearing? Or was that,
I believe I saw them wearing feathers,
was there anything else other than feathers?
not that I could see.
You stated earlier that they were only wearing one feather. She stated that they were wearing one.
Was this like one feather or was it multiple feathers?
There was about 1 or 2 feathers.
Okay, you said one feather. Okay, so difference in outfits. Okay, is that it? Okay, we're, no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect, counsel?
And it begins. Do this all day. Okay. They're back. They're back.
So, when you saw these Indians, not gonna start off like that. When, previously stated by other witnesses, no one seemed to have a pocket watch on this evening. Can you elaborate on that? Did you have one on you?
No, not at the time.
Dark. Do you remember the date of the tea party?
I believe it was December 16th.
And in the winter, it gets dark faster, correct?
You answer yes or no, Ms. Woodsman,
Yes.
if you know. Thank you.
Because of this, could it be that you closed your shop earlier than you thought you did?
Yes, that could be the case.
And if you closed your shop earlier, could it also be said that you would have left earlier? Because of this darkness, see anyone?
I wasn't able to see anyone as much.
You mentioned the skin tone of one of the people, or you said it was a figure being pushed. What color skin did this person have?
It was white skin.
And then the other figures, what color skin did they have?
Tan.
And because it was dark, could it be said that both of their skin tones, despite being dark, would still be able to be seen clearly? Was there a distinguishable difference?
Yes.
Any further questions, Your Honor?
Any further recross, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just briefly, counsel.
I only have 2 questions. So, if it's to say that you closed your shop earlier than normal, do you ever just close your shop randomly?
It differs from time to time.
Because, if you closed your shop earlier, does that mean you don't have a clock in your shop?
No, I do not.
What time do you normally close your shop then? Just when it gets dark?
Usually at sundown, but it might be like after.
Okay. So the other thing is, how were you able to describe the feathers and the markings if it was dark enough to not see what clothes they were wearing? Whereas there's like,
I had a lantern on me, so I could only see so much from it.
so from the lantern, you saw feathers on the head. Did you see their full body?
No, as I was on the ground and they were on the ship.
Was the only thing you saw their face?
I could see about half of their torso.
Were they wearing anything on their torso? Was it like,
I believe there were some markings, but I'm not sure.
okay, so there's markings and, okay. So could you see the lighter skin, his full torso as well?
Yes.
So did you see the rest of their skin? Was their torso painted as well?
I believe so, yes.
Or was your torso dark as well? May I rephrase?
Like I said, their torso was about as tan as their face.
Okay. And no further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Any redirect?
No further questions.
May this witness be excused from the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Any further witnesses, counsel?
No, Your Honor. The defense rests.
Defense rest. I would like to hear briefly, before closing arguments, briefly one more time from John Bridgman. And I would like to hear his response to questions by the prosecution related to what interactions, if any, he had the evening of this incident with Franklin Williams. You've already been sworn in, counsel. You can be seated. And the prosecution can begin when ready.
Okay. So when did you open your shop? Or when did you open your shop?
I opened up around 10 a.m.
Okay, so throughout the day, did you see anyone who was described to be by or in your shop? Can you recall?
I had multiple customers, but none of them were dressed as individual peculiarly. They
Okay.
don't look normal citizens.
Did you have anyone, do you supply cake at your store?
Yes, yes, I do.
Is it big cakes or small little bite-sized ones?
I sell both kinds.
Okay. Did you sell a cake that day that you remember?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you sell tea at your shop too, or is the tea imported that you get just for you?
Oh, I do sell too. That's the majority of my business.
Okay. You sold tea that day then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, did you sell tea and cake, if you can remember that combination?
I believe I did.
Okay, do you remember how many people?
No, I do not.
Okay. So, no further questions. No.
Any cross counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Briefly, counsel.
It has to be brief later. I'm gonna be here for hours.
You were the one making the law.
Have you ever, per se, kept your shop open for friends after hours?
After hours, I generally talk about politics with some dear friends. Yes, I would say that.
Okay. And during this time, do you eat and drink tea and cake, which you sell at your store?
I do, yes.
Do you recall every customer that was at your shop that day?
That would be quite impossible, ma'am.
May I see the receipt?
Yes, ma'am. Let the record reflect that the lawyer is presenting defense exhibit 1 to the witness.
Now, this receipt is for £5 from your store, from a customer that you don't remember, because that would be impossible, correct?
I would say that, yes.
Can you describe what was bought for me?
It says tea and cake.
So the tea and cake that you sold at your store is now on a receipt that you signed, correct?
I believe so, yes.
No further questions.
May I see the exhibit, please, counsel? Thank you. Any further redirect?
One question, just one. It's just one.
It's okay,
I know.
we're in this together.
Did you have those political meetings at on the night of December 16th?
Yes.
The night of December 16th.
I did not, no.
So, what time do you close your store again?
7:30.
Okay. So, what time do you have these meetings?
generally after 7:30, but that night I did not hold any meetings.
Okay, so that's. There
Council,
was,
the record will reflect again that Defense Exhibit 1 does contain a date for the receipt, but does not contain a specific time.
so you have no recollection of any of the customers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor?
May you redirect or recross, counsel?
No further questions.
May this witness be excused from the courtroom?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bridgman, for your cooperation. Do both sides rest and close at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are both sides ready for closing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecution may proceed.
Okay.
I wish
So,
you luck.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I need,
I don't either.
so
Remember to speak up, counselor, and direct your closing to the jury.
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for listening to all of our evidence and our many arguments that we had back and forth. But as you heard, let's see, it was, like I say again, I've said this many times before, but face paint was a common thing said. There's no, I am on the spot here, so I'm trying to
Take your
think.
time, counselor.
Let's see.
If you need to consult your notes, that's fine too.
So there was the face paint that was already mentioned many times. There was, let's see. So there is no, trying to think, sorry.
Take your time, counselor. There's no rush. Would you like to refer to your exhibits, counselor?
So we have the bank statement, thank you,
Yes, ma'am.
of the 10,000 pounds that was lost at the party, the tea party. So there's that. The receipt for December 16th from Franklin Williams, paid in cash for tea and cake, which he ate at, some sources say 11 p.m., some say closer to 7 or 8, so we can't really know, and we can't know when that was bought, hopefully before 7:30. The letter from Sam Adams to John Henry Bridgman with a special occasion, so a flamboyant way to revolt. Can't think of what else that would be. That is also going on. I believe it said by next month. So there is plans that the Sons of Liberty has that Paul plans to request costumes. The costumes were mentioned in a Sons of Liberty letter, and a way to revolt. So I think it's pretty clear on who did that. And then also the Township Act, which states that we were in our full right to tax these Sons of Liberty, and they still revolted for a reason I can't think of, costing our plaintiff about 10,000 pounds in losses of something like we said in the opening, I do not think she deserves. I'm hoping you don't either. So once again, thank you for listening to all of our evidence.
Thank you, counselor. And you can reserve the rest of your time for rebuttal. Is the defense ready for closing?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
I would like to take notice of our evidence again. Of 3 specific pieces. Now, exhibit number 3 of the prosecution is the Townshend Acts that tell, reading this completely off the paper, coffee and coconuts of the produce of the of the laid colonies or plantations for discontinuing the drawbacks playable on China, earthern warfare exported to America, and for more effectively preventing the carefree running of goods in the state colonies and plantations. They acknowledge America as a separate place. You would just call it, if they believed that it was still a part of Britain, they would call it a colony of Britain in America, not America itself. I would also like everyone to recall that the receipt, Defense Exhibit Number 1, does not have a specific time, but a date to which the owner of said store cannot remember every single customer that comes in to buy tea and cake of which his store sells. And then we have a letter addressed to John, the same store owner that sold tea and cakes to the defendant, signed by Samuel Adams. And this, it also says in a month or so. But this letter has no date. There is no date listed on the letter. So how are we supposed to know that the Boston Tea Party was their way to revolt? Like we've said in testimonies, there are people described as being Indians wearing cultural face paint, wearing feathers. Without being aggressive, I think it is right to say that although the defendant, or the plaintiff, excuse me, does not deserve this, Indians had been persecuted by the British before. So could it be said that this revolt of sorts was the Indians trying their hardest to get back at a nation of people that had never been there for them until the French and Indian War, so they could get to the colonies? Stated by my opposing counsel, he lost 10,000 pounds in damages and losses that she does not deserve. But what my client, the defendant, does not deserve is to be accused of something he did not necessarily do. He was pushed on a ship by someone that was bigger than him, that he can describe at least slightly to us. And then he blacked out from terror. I would like to keep this heavy on everyone's hearts. That fear can make anyone forget. Trauma makes us forget what we've seen because it is a traumatic experience. Once again, I would just like to state that most of our evidence, although having dates, does not have times. So let us not put a time on someone else's life to where they need to feel as if they're in the wrong for something they didn't even do.
Thank you, Counselor. Any rebuttal?
I'll try. I have fully forgotten what you said. I'm sorry.
Drama.
But- So I guess my main point is really can't think of any other way. You would need costumes to plan a flamboyant revolt that you openly speak out about, except for what happened on the night of December 16th. Why else would you need?
Yes, ma'am.
Why else would you need costumes? Why else would you need to request costumes for a special occasion as a revolt, except for what happened on the night of December 16th? And I have fully forgotten most of what you stated. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to be dramatic. That's the point.
I forgot it.
Costumes for.
It's okay. Try your best.
You need the costumes for role playing.
This sounds like.
That's the fun part.
You've made your arguments very
Why-
effectively,
why is she
Counselor.
crying?
If you're prepared to rest, I believe those arguments have been made effectively to the jury. Otherwise, you can take your time and wrap up.
Sure.
Thank you, Counselor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, both parties have now rested and closed, so the case is now in your hands. Please recall that the sole issue in this case is whether Franklin Williams, gentleman sitting right here at the counselor's table with his lawyers, is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of participating in the Boston Tea Party on December 16th, 1773. If you feel like the prosecution has met their burden and proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Franklin Williams did in fact participate in the Boston Tea Party that evening, then you must find him guilty and convict him of participating in the Boston Tea Party. But if you feel that the prosecution has not met their burden and they have not proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Franklin Williams did in fact participate in the Boston Tea Party, then you will have to acquit and you will have to find Mr. Williams not guilty. Do you all understand? At this point in time, the case is turned over to you for your deliberations. If you can exit out this door right here, and when you reach the verdict, please inform the bailiff. All rise. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury are now excused for your deliberations. You sit in the hall.
Good. I just turned around.
Counselors, you did excellent.
I'm curious.
You see it?
I know. Are you sure?
Whenever they're ready.
Where's Riley? Can't fly. I want him back. My eyes. It's from. Good. Did I do okay? Give that to Ava. Huh?
You did say you did not have a clock on you, but you did say it was dark outside. Is there any possible way that the times could have been around 7 or 8?
Yes, that
Right.
And,
Meredith, hello.
he did state that Indians have been prosecuted and, well, yes.
Persecuted.
Is there any way saying that it could have been Indians and that maybe there was some like backsplash of tea or powder that was on them that made it look like it was patchy?
Yes, actually. Good points, good points.
We all gotta get our lawyer chops in, you know?
Yeah.
Good questions. Those are good questions. Hey, you guys did a great job. You guys both did.
Hey, oh, let's talk. That's what she was. I need to ask, so I want to ask questions
Yes.
too. Wait, can I don't know. Are you okay? I'm gonna.
Gentlemen, I have a note. Says we have a verdict. Will the foreperson please rise? Foreperson is in fact correct that the jury has reached a verdict in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that verdict, sir? Could you please read it for the court?
Guilty.
What? I'm innocent. You're the worst jury ever. I'm suing. I'm suing. I'm suing. That was not. That was great. That was hard. I was prepared for that. I needed to be this time.
Get it back. All right, we're good. Mr. Williams, good luck to you.
Gee Willikers.
We're gonna do a selfie real quick. I'm gonna try to get everybody in it.
This is not the time for selfie.
Miss Angela told me to do it. Let's see if I can get everybody in it.
I think.
Stand up.
No hand signs. Absolutely no hand signs.
How's that looking?
Hands to your side, no hand signs.
Pretty good? All right, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Good job, guys. Hey. We're gonna take a 10-minute break and then we're gonna start the next one, okay?
Okay, let's
You need me to help you with anything?
The wrong sentence.
That's it.